Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem. So today we're continuing. We are Pasuk Tet, right? We did the Pasuk Chet, Shema Beni Musar Avicha Ve'al Titosh Torah Timecha, and the Pasuk. And Shlomo HaMelech continues. You know why you have to listen to the Musar, to the discipline of your father, respect, value the discipline of your father, and not reject, not abandon the Torah of your mother. כי לוויתכן הם לראשך וענקים לגרגרותיך. They are like a crown of grace on your head, a graceful, like a crown, like a wreath, yeah? We'll understand what that is in a second. Va'anakim, and a necklace made of a lot of beads around your neck, around your, again, legargerotecha, to be more accurate, around your throat, again, around your throat. So the Gaon right away, jumps in these two concepts of first the Liviat Chen, number one, versus the Anakim, right? So the crown on the head versus the necklace around the neck. And he says that in the ancient times, the way you would honor, the way you would respect and show the world or the world or your wife your appreciation for her behavior, for her actions, or for her ideology, and hashkafa was with these two types of jewelry. One was on the head, and the other one was on the neck. One was made of, it's one piece of jewelry, like that would be put on her head, and the other one was this beautiful necklace that would go around her neck, around her throat. And that's how you knew, or that's how the husband would show appreciation and admiration from his wife, And right away, the Gaon sends us to a story in the Gemara Masechet Yerushalmi. The Gemara Masechet Shabbat, the famous story that Rabbi Akiva made for his wife it's called the city of again, the city of Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. He did for her like a crown, right? There was a crown like that showed Yerushalayim, like Yerushalayim, and it was called Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. That was the name of the piece of jewelry. So the wife of Rabban Gamliel, she became jealous. It's interesting. So she went to her husband, Rabban Gamliel. It's not a joke. It's Rabban Gamliel. And she told Rabban Gamliel, I don't understand. Look at what Rabbi Akiva gave his wife. I want the same. I'm also the wife of a big tzaddik. I'm also a big tzaddika. I don't deserve. I also deserve. Yeah, just to see that the wives, even at the time of the Tanaim, of Rabbi Akiva, Rabban Gamliel, they were very competitive, to say the least. So Rabban Gamliel answered her. He said, "One second. You want you want that piece of jewelry, you want that crown, but are your actions comparable to the actions of the wife of Rabbi Akiva? That's not the case. Why? He says Rabbi Akiva's wife would go and cut her hair and sell it to threads that you call the threads, right? The threads of hair. She would make threads of her hair, then cut it and go sell it to the market to make wigs out of it. And this in order to support her family and let Rabbi Akiva learn Torah. So Rabban Gamliel says, you didn't do that. So you don't deserve this crown of the city of gold, the city of Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. So the Gaon right away brings this maaseh and explains that that's how you showed kavod to the wife through this piece of jewelry. And the Gaon explains that the major difference between of gold or one piece of jewelry or many pieces that are connected one to the other to make one piece, and the other one is threads with a lot of beads inside of different types of precious stones and diamonds, etc. And he says the one that is one piece goes on the head. Why? He says because the chokhmah, by definition, the head represents the chokhmah, and the chokhmah is something that's very inclusive, very global. What does that mean? He says your chokhmah has the ability to handle and think about many different subjects that are not related. Meaning you can think about laws of Sukkah and right away jump into the laws of Rivit and then go learn Musar and then think about business. The brain is very inclusive and has the ability to wrap up and include under its umbrella a lot of different subjects, and although these subjects can be dealt at once. This is the power of the Chokhmah. So the Chokhmah, says the Gaon, essentially, the head of Chokhmah, essentially represents one gush. It's one big entity, one big subject or area. That's the power of the Chokhmah. And for that, the jewelry that was given to a woman that has chokhmah, that has wisdom, was a piece of jewelry that's made of one piece, representing, and the bigger the chokhmah and the wisdom, and the bigger the piece of jewelry was, the wreath was. Continues the Gaon and dives in. He says, the chokhmah is the machshava, is the thought. He says, the more your thoughts are clean and organized, the more the knowledge you are exposed to will be inclusive in your thought process and retained.
Can you explain that last part?
Yes. The more you have a clean thoughts and thought process, And the more the wisdom and the knowledge that you are exposed to will be retained properly and be inclusive. He says this is referring to, again, back to the Torah Shebichtav and Torah Shebe'al Peh, to the Torah Shebichtav. The Torah Shebichtav is very inclusive, and everything is machshava, right? So says Shlomo HaMelech, you know why you have to learn Torah? You know why you have to da'at chokhmah musar, to focus on the da'at chokhmah or musar, to have the chokhmah? Because the more chokhmah you have, and the wider and the cleaner your opportunity to build your machshava is. So the machshava, the chokhmah, the da'at brings you into machshava, into a clean thought process, and the thought process allows you to retain more knowledge, and the more knowledge you have, the greater the crown is on your head, the more you're carrying on your head, referring to the chokhmah and the machshava as a crown. The more wisdom the person has, and the bigger his crown that he carries. And says the Gaon, obviously that all that chokhmah that we're talking about is not a chokhmah that is theoretical, right? That chokhmah umusar. You're learning chokhmah to implement actionable wisdom. He said when that machshava, when that wisdom, when that thought process is so clear and clean and categorized and absorbed properly to the point that it is actionable in your behavior and in your life, Livyat Hen, it brings out grace in you. So the Hen of a person is the grace that emanates through his actions that are the practical result of the chokhmah that he retained from a clean thought process.
Wow, that's the secret of chen.
That's the definition of chen.
Wow.
And he says that is the sachar. This is the sachar is the reward of the musar and the chokhmah together. It's when your musar is based on your chokhmah, the reward is livyat chen, is chen around that emanates around you. He says also the head, the rosh, includes the organs of the body, of the head, the eyes, the ears, the mouth. He says these are the three organs that we use to learn Torah: the eyes, the ears, and the mouth, to learn it, to pray it, to read it. All of them work together, says the Gaon. Meaning, you cannot, Torah is not only learned with the eyes, or only learned with the ears by listening, or only learned with the mouth by talking. It's a trilogy. It's a triangular effort that feed each other. The eyes is an element of the learning. the listening is another element of the learning, and the talking is another element of the learning. All three elements are under the one umbrella that is called machshava, thought process. The thought process, because says the Gaon, what you grasp with the eyes, you don't with the ears. What you grasp with the ears, you don't with the eyes. What you speak, you don't get not from the ears and not from the eyes, and vice versa. That's regarding the first part of the pasuk. Va'anakim legargerotecha, and a necklace around your throat. Like we said, the Gaon explains, we're talking about a necklace that is made of a lot of little pieces. That's why he says va'anakim. Va'anakim is in plural. It doesn't say va'anak. Why is the word, the necklace called va'anakim in plural? Referring to the importance of all the little pieces the necklace is made of. Legargerotecha, on your throat, says the Gaon, on your throat, but it's referring to your body. Why? Because the throat is the connection between the body and the brain. You use the throat to speak with your mouth, but you also use your throat to breathe and give life to your body. So he says, when we talk about the head in the beginning of the pasuk, we're talking about the thoughts, about the chokhmah. When we talk about the throat, we're referring to the entire body. And we are referring at this point to the actions of the person. To the part of the dibur, to the part of the speech, kivyachol, to the part of the speech that triggers an action. So you have the part of the speech that works for the brain, and then you have the aspect of the speech that actually stimulates the body, stimulates an action, and motivates the organs of the body to react or act according to, essentially to your machshava. So he says, since we're referring to actions, and actions are individual, not inclusive, you cannot do two actions at the same time. Your hand cannot do two things at the same time. It can do one thing, but do things at the same time, it cannot. So he says every action has its own moment, every action has its own purpose, and every action has its own outcome. For that, we have different pieces of the jewel around the neck to tell us that one action can be connected to the other, but is not the other. It's not one. So referring to what? Referring to mitzvot. It's not because you did a mitzvah now, that means it's continuous and it's just going to continue to be a mitzvah for the rest of time. No, the mitzvah begins and the mitzvah ends with the action. So you have to have awareness, because if you stop doing a mitzvah and you don't do another mitzvah, you're at risk, right? So you have to start another mitzvah. Same thing on the flip side. If a person does an avera, it has a beginning and it has an end. It's not because a person does an avera that means that that's it. he's bound for failure, that he's cursed. No, mapitom. Okay, he did an avera. The avera ended. Now there's a new opportunity for another piece of the jewelry, of the necklace, to start doing something new. This is what this is what the second part of the pasuk refers to when it's talking about the necklace. And says the Gaon, that the va'anakim legargerotecha, that piece of jewelry, refers to the kavod of a person. Right? When you wear the crown, it shows chen, grace, right? But when you wear this piece of jewelry around the neck, it shows respect. It shows honor. It's exposing the wealth of the person, of the wife. And in this case, as the Ganu, we don't talk about the chen. Now it's interesting because the first part of the pasuk is referring to wisdom, but we're talking about the chen that comes out of the action, of the musar that comes out of it. The second part that refers to the Torah is showing its kavod, but on another hand, we're talking about mitzvot aseh velo ta'aseh. So it's davar b'ipucho. The first part is talking about the musar, yes? But that's the practical aspect of it, the musar aspect of it, referring to the psukim in the past that we've learned. But referring to the influence the Torah, the Machshava, has on the Musar. Here, it's the mitzvot aseh velo ta'aseh, which is the action that are triggered or controlled or guided by the kavod of the Torah. So in an action, you have your behavior and you have the mitzvah. The behavior is the chen. The action is the chokhmah, is the wisdom, is the Torah. Yes? So depending on how you do your mitzvah, you will get kavod. Depending on how you behave, musar, yirat shamayim, that's going to be the chen. It's two aspects of the Torah and mitzvot, chokhmah and musar, that intertwine each other, again, through actions. Because at the end, Shlomo HaMelech is telling us, Shema beni musar avicha ve'al titosh Torah imecha. You have to look after all this. You know why? Because these actions, the Torah and the musar that are intertwined, will reflect in your behavior and in your action. And that's what will give you the kavod and the chen that a person needs. To the extent that the Gemara tells us that, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi tells us that if a person is on his way or he's traveling, right, and he's under, there's a risk, something happening to him, if he has Torah with him, it's a shmirah, it's a hagana. The Gemara brings a case of Rava that was on his way, and thanks to his Torah, he was protected. So we're not talking we're not simply talking about the Torah. We're talking about a behavior. Look at the machshava, right? A clean thought allows you to absorb information, include it, and then practice it as a behavior and implement the mitzvot that you're learning from your chokhmah and your wisdom. And both trigger different kochot. One will trigger in your behavior chen, and your mitzvot trigger kavod. These two together yields a shield of protection around the person from all the mazikim. Gemara meforeshet. People look for segulot. Here you have a segula, black on white, from the Gemara, from the Chachamim, from Tanaim Amoraim, and from directly from Shlomo HaMelech. So you understand the manganon. The process the mechanism seems complicated, but it's clear. It starts with obviously Shema B'ni Musa Rabbi Chavel Titosh Torah Timecha, as we discussed. Platform of clean thought process to absorb Chokhmah properly through the Mahashava, through the clean thought process, be exposed to all this knowledge, absorb it, retaining, categorize it. This needs to turn into an internal lesson, personal lesson. How do I behave better? Practical musar. And a clearer understanding of technicalities in the mitzvot themselves, relative to each mitzvah, that lead to the practice of a mitzvah a better way. And these two engagements yield this shield of protection around the person.
Why would kavod be one of the rewards? Chen, I understand, but why kavod?
Kavod HaTorah, מה זאת אומרת? That's not the kavod of men, it's the kavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. והאושר והכבוד מלפניך ואתה מושל בכל. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you kavod. It's not the kavod of men, it's the kavod of Hashem. And when you have the kavod of Hashem, and when you have the chen of Hashem, what can touch you? Even if you're in, the goyim will fear you. The animals fear you. The goyim will see that the name of God is called upon you. When you go into a room, people will fear you. Will respect you, will be in awe in front of you, from your behavior, from the way you act, from pausing, standing up and saying, I'm sorry, I have to pray or go for mincha, from eating kosher. It will be respect, and you're not going to have to ask for it. And you know what? They will honor you for that. By the way, you're making in your question, there's an important point that we need to make, right? That's also a way to know if you're legit or not. If you have the kavod Hashem, and Hashem puts his kavod upon you and his hand upon you, then you know you're doing it right. And in Khalila, no, then suddenly, was the chen, was the kavod, the day that Moshe Rabbeinu, and prayed for the chen. Yeah, it's not something a person should be taken for granted. It's really a matana min Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu grants you the chen and grants you the kavod. People can impose themselves and manipulate and pay off and do all many different ways to gain kavod and be cool and attract people around it. That's not kavod, right? That's called being used. But the real kavod, the kavod Eloki, that the Moharan refers to in Likutei Moharan, all the Chachamim discuss about kavod Eloki, and the chen that we're talking about the one that HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvodo be'atzmo sends and showers and shines upon the person. So it's clear what the Gemara tells us after that. When the Gemara tells us, by the way, that you're protected. It's very clear. It's very clear. The animals will be in awe in front of you. Why? We didn't find the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. We didn't find Gedolim, Mishael. They were thrown in the pit of the Agura Aryeh. Yes? With the lions. And the lions bowed and respected and honored. Yeah. That's the chen and the kavod Elokim. Here, black on white, Shlomo HaMelech, the Tanaim, Amoraim of the Gemara, give us the formula to be blessed with this. Now, but 1 second. If it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so how is my actions really relevant? So to that, there's a clear answer. The Rambam already speaks in his concept of Nevuah. When he talks about prophecy, he says that a prophet is somebody that prepares himself to be Ra'ui, to be worthy of the prophecy.
To bring it down.
If HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to send the prophecy or not, that's his problem. That he decides. Here, it's one step further. You need to prepare yourself for it and to be worthy of it. But Shlomo HaMelech comes and the Tanaim comes and say, by the way, it's true that you control it all, but you also give it. And you teach us how to receive it. This is it's very important because Shlomo HaMelech here is basically giving us the tools to prepare ourselves before the attack of the Yetzer Hara that he will be and the bad influence and peer pressure that he's going to engage right away after that pasuk. So he's telling us, look, if this is the separation, you want to be protected from bad influence, from peer pressure, from real dangers, follow this formula. And you will be successful and you will get the chen and you will get the kavod. You don't? Then he goes into the flip side of it. No, you're going to be influenced. You have to be careful. Peer pressure, bad people. You're going to be used, abused, destroyed. And then we're going to go into the flip side of things. But right now, he's basically summarizing what is needed and the importance of all the introduction he gave, right? Of Da'at, Chokhmah, Musar that we need in order to be shielded and protected and elevated in ourselves and in society.
So just to be clear, it's through acquiring, absorbing, and implementing the Chokhmah and the Musar that you're able to trigger the Chen and Kavod of Hashem.
That's one aspect. The other aspect, the Chen, that's the Chen. And by implementing and understanding and applying the mitzvot better, the Aseh and Lo Ta'aseh, that triggers the Kavod. So the better you do mitzvot, the more Kavod Hashem shines upon you. The better you do your Musar and you behave and you overcome yourself, and the more hand you get. Be'ezrat Hashem, that's we have to. Like the Khatam Sofer says, we always have to stop on the high, on a positive note. The next pasukim are going to be a little tougher on us. It's very realistic, and you're going to see that how that the Shark Tank is is something that Shlomo HaMelech already addressed. Oh, Be'ezrat Hashem. That's a very, very, very practical, clean, big lesson. Telling you, people want to feel respected. They want chen. They want to go in the room. They want to be charismatic. They want to be loved. They want to be listened to, appreciated. Right? That's what we want. We all want that. We want to be positive influence. When you have kavod and you have chen, success comes with it. Success comes with it. Shlomo Melech gives us the perfect solution and formula. Not only that, what about Ainara? What about this? What about that? What do you mean? There's nothing. You're untouchable. 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 Because it's the kavod of Hashem surrounding you. It's the chen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu surrounding you. Somebody can touch you. Something can touch you. Bilam comes, he cannot touch you. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh to this ma'ala every day at all time and recognize that the wisdom is constant. It's one big entity, right? Chokhmah is huge, very big. And actions, every action is a new action. Every morning is a new morning. Every tefillah is a new tefillah. Every mitzvah is a new, every test is a new test. But that's how we show kavod. That's what we show. We are blessed with kavod, and that's how we are blessed with chen. Ezrat Hashem.
Beautiful, Rob.